So, Society Israel here, and I'm just sitting right here thinking, rolling up, like, need to get something off my chest. But I really been learning, like, the true meaning of forgiveness and truly internalizing the energy of forgiving a person. And it's like, it's one thing to say you did it, but it's another thing to, when you see that person, they make you mad. Like you still got that, you still holding on to that resentment. Like just the image, just their image hurts. Like one of those type of vibes. And it's like, that's something that literally truly have to take the time to heal from pain. Cause like you can keep going and going, pushing yourself to do this, do that, hop on the next wave, but eventually God gonna sit your ass down and say, hey, you ready to listen to me yet? And then it's gonna be up to you to pay attention long enough to hear, to see, to feel, to taste, to sense it, to sense the message, like, because it ain't gonna just come in one form, it's gonna come in all forms. Like, people be like, you can't taste God. Yes, the fuck you can. God gonna make sure you know what he God, not he, but God gonna make sure you know what it tastes like, smell like, feel like, all of it. See, hear, like, gonna let a motherfucker know, like, how protected you are. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to be about it. Like, in life, we spend a lot of time complaining about all the shit that we don't like about this world, but who, like Marvin Gaye said, who really care enough to save the world? Like, we all talking about what's going on, but who really cares enough to save the world? Who really willing to forgive their oppressor enough to take heed to the thin line between it all? Like, we could sit here and preach that we this, we that, we this, that noble, righteous, and godly type of people, kings and queens, but it's shit. If you ain't talking about no ownership, if you ain't talking about no real shit, if you're not talking about, like, really taking charge, getting back, stepping into your power, like, releasing all of that negativity and forgiving truly, you're like, because in forgiveness, you ain't just forgiving the people who hurt you. You forgiving yourself for being naive, because that's a lot of times we tend to forget that. Like, you got to forgive yourself first. Like, you was being naive, like being naive and just going along with the bullshit, but in reality, like, you fucked yourself up and you knew that shit from the jump. And you gotta forgive yourself for not knowing better when you did it. But now, since you know better, how you finna overcome that shit? Like, we only as well as how we learn from our mistakes. So in saying that, if you ain't learning from your mistakes, then what you talking about is bullshit. Like, I was just talking to two people about this yesterday and today. Like, And like we steady talking about each other, saying people ain't shit, we ain't this, people ain't shit, ain't shit ass people. But it's like we all ain't shit. In reality, like God look at us and be like, these humans really ain't shit. Like we have all the tools for our success. We have all the right for it and everything. But we so stuck in our own shit that we can't see the thin line between it all. So we want to talk about each other. We want to point the finger at each other. We want to do all of that bullshit. But it's like we all ain't shit. So you talking about the next motherfucker talking about how they ain't shit. What about you? What makes you so special than the next motherfucker if we all on this earth trying to do the same shit? Like, I don't care about your class, your wealth, your health, none of that shit. If you ain't working toward the betterment of everybody, if you not being an optimal human being, then full of shit. Cause the real human beings that this message ain't for, they conscious enough to know that I'm saying some real ass shit. And it's like, we on a fucking expiration date. We got fucking expiration dates. We on a fucking time clock. Like, stopwatch if you want to call it that. Time or shit. Like, we literally get a daily allowance of 24 hours to do what the fuck that we were put on this earth to do. And then every day that go past that we don't do that shit, we showing God that we don't deserve that shit. We showing God that everything that we praying for is not, we not worthy of that. Like, it's one thing to say it, to hear people say that, but it's another thing to internalize that. Like, literally, they're not talking about your 5-year plan, your 2-year plan, your 3-year plan. We talking about what you finna do in the next minute of your life. What you finna do the next hour. How you finna spend tomorrow. Your next day, if you get it. Like, that's what people don't be understanding. Like, I heard this man say this on a video. Like, that's such an underrated blessing, to be able to leave home and come back untouched, like unbothered. That is such an underrated blessing. A lot of people don't get to do that every day. And we truly have to become more appreciative of that, because it can all be gone in a second, like literally. And it's like we tend to stress about the things that don't matter at all. Like, I don't want to talk about Russia. I don't want to talk about COVID-19. I don't want to talk about monkeypox. I don't want to talk about police brutality, honestly and truly. Because if we ain't finna talk about Africans charged genocide, then I don't want to talk about police brutality. I don't want to talk about racism. I don't want to talk about classism. If we ain't finna talk about group economics and building black wealth, if we ain't finna talk about how health is wealth, I don't want to talk about food. I don't want to talk about the healthcare system. I don't want to sit and talk about all the things we complain about if we ain't finna talk about the solutions that's already here for us to take advantage of. Like, you motherfuckers, you not finna keep wasting my time by feeling like this, keeping the motherfucker distracted. Like we can sit here and listen to all these people complain, but if we know how to fix the problems, why not we go do that shit? Why not we go take our tax money that we paying these motherfuckers to go do the shit? Like, we take that tax money and we go handle this shit ourselves, because obviously they don't know how to use the fucking tax money. Like, keeping it real, like, it's not about having it. It's not about having it or not having it. It's about, when you have it, how do you using it? And it's like we steady giving these motherfuckers our last, our all, and they taking that shit and run with it. How about we go do that? How about we go take that fucking money? We go build our utilities. Like, we go build solar power. Like, we go find that kid that's, I feel like it's a kid in the hood, gifted young kid, a gifted baby, like, for real, that's gonna solve all of our problems. It may not be me. It may not be someone I know. But I know it's some kid in this world that may come up with wind power. That may come up with how to harness that energy, like that movie, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. I think that's what it's called. Like, going deep in depth into that. Like, it's probably a kid out there that know how to that's gift that was put on this earth to show us what energy looks like. And if if I was put on this earth to invest in that child, to make sure that they get to their fullest potential, then yes, I would love to do that. But in order to do stuff like that, in order to see the potential like that, in order to do that stuff like that, change first starts at home. It starts in your heart. You gotta forgive all that resentment, all that bitterness, all that hate in your heart. You can't have hate in your heart if you want to bless the next person. Because how can you bless that next person if you ain't even blessing yourself and serving from your overflow? You can only invest in a person when you are full. Like how they say on a plane, you can only give air to yourself. You can only give air to the next person after you give yourself air first. If you choking looking for air, how can you give everybody air? No, like that ain't gonna work. Cause once they all get air and they conscious enough to understand, you gonna be fucking dead. And it's like, then what? Like, we really gotta be more conscious of that shit. Like, we could try to be nice, we could try to be a giver, give, but shit, motherfuckers gonna keep taking. Eventually, you gotta realize that those boundaries need to be set. That's a part in forgiving yourself. Like, you gotta understand that in having toxic people and having, like, you can keep trying to blame them, but in having toxic people, you gotta realize how you enable them to be toxic to you. Like, if you ain't setting your boundaries, if you ain't standing on what you believe in, if you ain't standing on who you are and how you feel about things, then you giving the motherfucker the okay to walk to do whatever the fuck they want to you. And it's like, that shit real. Like, and a lot of girls grow up into women that's hurt, wanting love and wanting all of this shit. Like, you gotta learn to love yourself, baby, because this world is cold. A lot of motherfuckers don't know what love look like. They don't know what love feel like. They don't know what it tastes like. They don't know what it smell like. They don't know it. They don't even know what that shit like. They can't even see it. It like, even when they looking at love, it hurts because it's something they ain't never seen or felt before. So it fucking burns. We live with people with that shit where it feel like that. Something that feels warm and cushy to us, it burns the next motherfucker. It's just like fucking vampires. Like, they can't come out in the lighttime. They can only come out in the nighttime because that shit fucking burns. And we gotta realize that shit. Like, it's too much shit going on in the world for us to keep repeating the same bullshit cycles. Like, I'm only speaking from my life and what I realized. But these realize the real lies, and I realized that I ain't the only one that's going through this shit. So I'm making this video for the people that get what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, we overcoming this shit, and it all comes through awareness. Like, for real. We are generational curse breakers. We bringing in those blessings, building that wealth, being optimal human beings, and we deserve everything that's coming to us. And that first comes with the change that we bring to ourselves, like how we forgive ourselves, like how we forgive and how we react. Like, you forgive yourself, but you also have to learn from those mistakes, and find out how those mistakes turned into dis-ease in the body. Like, you gotta dig down to the root. You can't just go on the surface level of life and complain about everything. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to find out how those mistakes turned into diseases. You got to figure out how those diseases are illnesses in the body, to find out how your health is wealth. Like, it's levels to this shit. Like, a lot of people talk about spirituality and all of that shit. Like, people don't be knowing what the fuck they be talking about for real, but they be wanting to go run. They be wanting to take what this internet shit say and run with it. Like, nah, there's some shit that you gotta live for real. There's some shit you gotta be for real. You can't. This ain't something that you can just play with, make a video about, and do all of that shit. Like, no. This is something you have to be about. You say you want this shit, you gotta be it. Literal fucking leave. Like, ain't no, I want to do this tomorrow. Nah, what if tomorrow don't come? All you got is today, because you don't even got yesterday no more tomorrow. You don't even got yesterday anymore. Once that clock reset, once that clock say 0000 in 24-hour time. I'm going on 24-hour time, not 12-hour time. And once that clock says 000, it's a whole new day. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to spend it? How are you going to show God that you are grateful for being gifted that breath of allowance, that daily allowance of breath? Like, we really have to understand ourselves in order to understand each other, and that we can only do that if we understand the bigger picture. We can't just, like, life is more than just us. Like, for real though. Like, I'm a firm believer that there's more to this world than what the eyes can see. Like, we can sit here and try to act like it ain't true, but all of that shit happened for 500 years. We was oppressed. We was transported here. Our ancestors was transported here 500 years ago. All of that pain, suffering, and agony that they went through, and now it's probably about a good 10 generations now, since the 1800s at least. And it's like, it's our love that kept us whole enough to see today. How can we embody that love, that sense of love, that sense of grounding that kept us here? Because all of the shit that could have took us out, they was trying to population control like a motherfucker. But it's like, we didn't fall. We ain't gonna fall, motherfucker. We can't be stopped. Do y'all not feel that? Them fucking chills that you feeling? How do I know you feeling fucking chills? Because I just got them in my body too. Them is our ancestors on the other side. They saying that she's saying some real shit. Because this message ain't coming from my conscious mind. Like, this shit coming from my God-connected mind. My goddess energy. Like, that's who communicating to you right now. It's more than just me. Like, I'm just a person. I'm just a human here. But those that are guiding my direction, whew, if only you knew. Peace and love.